talk about.
I literally read it so many times. I'm reading it backwards now.
I think this is a good note for everybody out there.
He says that I don't pull well on TikTok, so
He doesn't.
It's
It's just a fact. It just doesn't pull well. It's called social media for a reason, and it's not selfish media.
I just gotta clear something up. You weren't the 12th man on the field.
Right?
There is no easy way to get anything ever.
This is Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast, where we discuss the connection between life and acting. Good morning, everybody. It is me, Joey, coming at you live again, 7 a.m. Mornings with Matt, the best morning show ever. I'll give a quick little recap. The boys are both recovering right now. They are doing great. And they are currently recovering from being away from the show for too long. Welcome, Matt Deering and Brian Sweeney.
All righty, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mornings with Matt, the Deering Acting Studio podcast. So good to be back on the show with you guys this morning.
Heck yeah. Brian, you got to say hello.
Hello, I am also very excited to be back on the show.
Woo.
Brian, are you cold?
I am cold. It is cold. Yeah, but it's actually kind of warm in here. It's getting warm in here. It's nice.
Well, you got like a Snuggie type sweatshirt.
Oh
on
yeah, yeah. It's this guy keeps you nice and warm. It's great.
All right, so I've been wanting to talk about this thing for a while. This idea of love is at the center. I think, and what a great topic to hit on when we're finally back here together. I got to tell you guys something else though before we get into that. All right, so dark to light here. I have been there is a real reason Joey's been covering the show. Turns out I had the coronavirus.
What? Oh, man. That's rough. But at least just so your audience members know, he didn't find out until this weekend. So there is that. It's only been 2 days that I've done the show without you knowing when I knew, right?
Right.
So
right.
it's not like this is like a long kept secret, you know.
Well, no, you did the show Saturday too, didn't you?
Yeah, but we just didn't know you had the Rona then. At that point, you were just like, oh, Brian just got home. Like, I'm not feeling great, so I just want to keep distance. But we were all like, nah, you don't got the Rona, man.
Oh,
no
right,
way.
right.
You know? So really, it's only been 2 days. We've been keeping this little secret. Just a little bit of a secret.
But what's cool about that is I'm already like 2 days away from my 10-day quarantine.
What?
Because they say some people had said 14 days. It's actually 10. It's 10 days from the time that you first show symptoms, and then as long as you haven't had a fever in like 24 hours. But I gotta tell you guys, here's the crazy part. I was feeling super bad because I kept sleeping in the morning, and I'm like, that's not me. It just sucks. I wake up and I'm feeling like, dang it, not again. And I felt like achy and stuff. And then this morning, I popped up out of bed, and I don't know. This is something I thought Brian might even jive on a little bit. It's amazing that sometimes you forget. Like it had been whatever it's been, 10 days or so. You forget what it feels like to feel good. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I guess I wasn't faking it. Like this feels way better.
Yeah. Before Brian hops on, because I'm sure you're right that he has a point there. This morning was so great, guys. I am back with my boys. My goodness. I learned.
Boys are back in town.
Yeah, yeah. I wish I could play it, but we would get copyrighted. But
Dude,
no.
you don't need it. You're like, listen to this. The boys are back in town.
The boys are back in town.
Oh, dude, that's a sweet music.
Beautiful. It's like a shameless plug.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I'll just go on this quick little note. So I get up to my alarm, I get in the shower, right? And then I hear this faint little, like, on the door in the bathroom, and I was like, huh. And I thought, like, I hit the counter or something, but then I was like, I guess I'll open the door. Like, it'd be weird for someone. And Brian's standing there, like, almost all dressed up, and he's like, I need some toothpaste. And I was like, yeah, he's doing the show. Let's go. Then I call Matt. And it was so refreshing. For the first time in like a week, I hear,
Oh, he did his thing.
and I was like, yeah, we are about to kill the microphone this morning. Oh my goodness. All right, Brian, you can go ahead and get into your point about not remembering how good it feels to feel good. But I had to throw that in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, Matt's just totally right. There's just this, there's awesome feeling that comes with that. I remember kind of feeling it when I started to feel better after, obviously, the several weeks of not feeling good at all, and it's amazing. But also, you can just be reminded by people like last night. Matt gave me a call. I called him. Really, is what happened mentally. But
You did not call.
I know, I'm kidding. That's the joke.
Last night, and your dad is like, he's like, is that Matt? You're like, yeah, and he goes, Seabird. And then you're like, no, it's Matt Deering, and he goes,
Oh.
And
My dad's on right now.
This is my uncle, by the way, but who's very much more excited to talk to Seabird.
Oh,
Well, I think part of that, Matt, goes back to, you know, he and my mom didn't let me play football, so I didn't get to go down the professional route. And so now, like, he sort of fostered Siebert as a representation of what I could have been, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably what it
what I
is.
feel like it is.
That's what it is. Yeah. So anyway, you called me, and then you had us do push-ups, which was pretty crazy, because I was not expecting that at all, and didn't even think I could do a push-up. I was like, I probably can't.
And how many did you do?
Hold up. So this is perfect. This is perfect. Let's rewind just 1 second because this is a good point actually into the topic for today. Okay, because when I say love is at the center, and here's the idea: love should be at the center of every decision you make. And that's not easy because that's a God decision. That's like God living in you in every moment of every day and every decision, every thought. It's impossible, but that should be the goal. The goal should always be like, where is this coming from? Right. So, but here's where I think this thing gets convoluted a little bit, which is the idea of that doesn't mean actually that you're nice all the time. It doesn't mean that, you know, people are going to like what you have to say all the time. Matter of fact, oftentimes that's not the case. And I think the hardest love sometimes is tough love.
Yeah.
The hardest love is to tell somebody the truth. You know, sometimes that can be the most difficult thing to do. That and turn the other cheek. Probably those are the two like hardest things to do. And so in this case, what I was doing yesterday, Bri, is I was giving you and me both tough love.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I was still kind of like not feeling great, but I was also, I knew I was getting close to being on the other side of it. And I knew I needed to just like start making better decisions, making fighting choices, as I call it. And so that's why I called you, because I was like, I'm about to fight right now. I'm going to give you the opportunity to fight also. And I'm going to call you, and this is love. And so then this was the tough love, because you're right. Like you said, like you didn't know you could do one. Because I said, let's do push-ups, right? And you're like, what about my band? Can I just do my band? And I was like, you could do that too, but we're gonna do push-ups. I'm gonna do 20, and I'm like, you do you do whatever you can on your
5
side.
or 10, yeah.
And you were like, I don't think I could do anything. I don't think my legs are strong enough to do a push-up. And I was like, your legs are not strong enough to do a push-up? Like, don't you use your arms? You're like, trust me, I don't think I can. And I was like, all right, maybe try one. And then all of a sudden I hear you like on the other side going, I'm going to try it. And then you got 8.
8.
Yeah, we got
That's
8.
more than I usually get. Let me just point that out. Like, like I'm terrible at push-ups. I like sit-ups, I like pull-ups, but for whatever reason, like my arms really struggle with push-ups. So you were like, I got 8, and I was like, well, I'm jealous because you're sick and I barely get 10. Like Matt has this tradition when we watch football, especially ASU, where you do a push-up for every point scored.
Yeah.
Even after the touchdown. So say we get 7, you do 7 push-ups. Then you get another touchdown. Well, you don't do another 7, you do 14.
Yep.
So you're doing push-ups for the touchdown you already did push-ups for, and then another set. And that always kills me. By the end of the game, if we're doing well, which most of the time we are, I have to do girl push-ups. So I sit on my knees and I still do the push-ups.
Well, at least you do them.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, and just for this last point that Matt made, I know some of us are visual learners, so I just go ahead and drew a picture for you guys. So as you can see, this is a circle, and a circle represents life, and this is love in the center, and that can be tough love, but any type of love, and we just try to keep love right here in the center. You don't want it on the outside of the circle, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm loving that, Joey. That's a good demonstration, a good visual.
You're loving it? Ah, dang it. Ah, hey! I've been away from
You got there eventually.
I've been away from the board for so long that like it feels like a foreign language to me at this point.
All right, so Bry Guy, let's get back to the story here. Enough about you. Let's talk about me.
So yeah, it's you're known for that. I mean, you're known for kind of pushing someone when they need it the most and don't want to hear it. And so go into your point, like that was one of those like I felt you feel better after, you feel stronger, obviously, but it's not just the arm strength or the leg strength or any of that. It's the mental. It's what it does for the mind. And it was just kind of a transformation. And so that idea is something that like you do have control over. It's just hard. And we mentioned this a couple episodes back, but I think that's where surrounding yourself with the right people kind of comes in also, like even through this sickness and being able to help each other and be there for each other. That is love, and sometimes it's tough and sometimes it's just being a listening ear. I know you've done that as well for me, because there's been days where it's tough. On the sickness part for me is really hard because it's not over yet and it's still going, and there's stuff with the kidneys and things like that, and sometimes it can be easy to get like down again about it. And that's where we can like just call each other and talk and get help when you're struggling, because people talk about me being positive all the time. Well, that's because I also have people to talk to when I'm not feeling that way who can help me through that and get me through that. And yeah, so
Yo, Matt, can I talk about our phone call yesterday?
You can, but first of all, I put something in the comments here, and
great.
I have to have Brian. Brian, can you do this? Can you just go like mumble like this? Be like, love is at the center, like that.
yeah, love is at the center.
Good, and then keep doing that, and then kind of like look around with just your eyes, but keep your face really still.
Is at the center and everything we do.
And keep going.
Yeah. So, yeah.
He looks like Belichick.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
And Tom Brady, and I miss him.
on to Cincinnati, everyone.
Sometimes I dream that I'm back in with Tom Brady. All right, talk about the phone call, Joey.
Sounds good. Yeah. So basically, it's just interesting that you pointed that out because Matt and I were talking yesterday, and we were just talking about your morale a little bit. We were talking about where he was at first, and then he was saying that like since you've been home, we've both noticed, and we were just relating, talking, strategizing that you had let that get to you a little bit. Right, that there was a big step backwards, and I shared with him our conversation where I sort of felt called to question into that on the way to dialysis, and you were saying like, yeah, it's a huge step back. Like it feels like I took a reverse in life and like went back to where I once was, and now it feels like a forever journey to get back to where I was just a month ago, you know, and so we were talking about that. And Matt was like, yeah, well, we just need to balance giving him the love that he needs. And that's why it goes so into this topic. And it's not always tough love. And he said that on the phone. He was like, you gotta really be hypersensitive, read the situations right, know when he needs to be loved, and know when he needs tough love. So it's just really cool. He said that yesterday, and then this happened last night. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And it proves what a leader he is. Like, he literally saw it before it happened. It's like a prophecy.
The prophet.
Yeah. Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. We have double the viewers this morning that we've had the last 2 days, so clearly you guys being back on the show is really helping over here.
Boys are back in town.
Boys are back in town.
Yo, so here's a love quote I haven't heard before that I kind of like. It says, love is the center of the universe, and truth is the circumference. Or love is the center of the earth, and truth is the circumference, or something like that.
Should I draw the continents in my circle? Would that help the audience?
Yeah, I like that though. Think about it. So like truth is like circles around everything, and then love is the center. You know, it's like it's almost like you can't have one without the other. Is a idea there too.
Yeah, which is so true. I mean, I talked about this a little on the show yesterday, but even the little lies where we don't even realize we're lying or not painting the full picture or telling the truth, like it's still a lie. And you're right, love can't live there. Like it can't. You can't say you're loving somebody if you're lying. That's facts. Joey Sweeney facts.
100%. And I can tell you too. So if we want to, like, I think we should dive into a couple forms of love here.
Yeah,
would be a great way to discuss the show here. And so and especially the more difficult loves. And I think the next, so next to tough love, one of the other really hard ways to love, I think, is to love self, the self-love.
Yes.
Because we can be so hard on ourselves, and we can, and not in a good way. You know, I mean, it's good to be self-reflective, but it's not good to like beat ourselves up. And so like it sometimes feels easy to forgive others and not forgive ourselves. And then on the other hand, it's easy to make excuses for ourselves too. So then coming into the tough love being, when it comes to tough love, that is not tough in that way. It's not making yourself feel guilty, but it is being real with yourself and holding yourself accountable and loving yourself enough to make the hard decisions on a daily basis. Because let's be honest, every day you are faced with decision after decision after decision.
Yeah.
And what was it? Like, what was it about this morning that caused Brian to go, you know what? Like, I'm getting up, you know, like I'm either I'm setting the alarm or I popped out of bed and I'm going to make the choice to not roll over and go back to sleep right now, there's something there, but that's a choice. That's a first choice, and maybe it goes backwards to that place where he made the choice to do the push-up.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, probably that.
It probably goes back to that.
Yeah.
And it's like the body starts to react and starts to remember. And that's why I always say, even when you're in these places, to do little things that remind your body, remind your heart of like what it's capable of doing to get yourself back into a spot of positivity. So I know, like, when I was in the height of the sickness over here with the coronavirus, mine wasn't so bad actually, but my worst symptom was this like skin on fire kind of feeling. And I felt very achy, and it just made me want to go back to sleep, go back to bed, which I did actually. Often I would just like, okay, when I got to that really bad spot, I would just take some Advil and lay down for a little bit. But truthfully, I wanted to just lay in bed the whole day. Like, that sounds great. For a second anyway. And then it gets boring. But instead what I did, and this is truthful, Joe. I listened to the Mornings with Matt show every morning. I did. I listened to you on there solo, and the one day, the Saturday, I think it was, I had notes for you. I thought you were a little nervous and whatnot, but it was good stuff. And I gave you critique as I do.
Yeah, it was Friday, I think, because Saturday was the editing one.
Okay, because you asked me how did you do, and it was one of those moments where I could tell you were excited about it, and I was like, how do you think? And you're like, I think I did great, and I had to give you what I thought was honest critique, but legit, it's Wednesday now. Monday and Tuesday morning, I felt kind of crappy when I woke up, and I woke up late, and I was just feeling like, I listened to the show, listened to your words, listened to you go, and I'm like, well, no wonder people listen to this in the morning. This feels really good. Like, I felt jazzed. It was really fun to listen to you. I was so super inspired. And then as I started listening to you, you'll never believe it. Like, this is what happened. I just automatically wanted to start cleaning the room. So then every day I would listen to you on this show, and I would just like make the space that I was quarantined in, I would make it beautiful, and I would start there. And at minimum, at least I'm starting my day with a clean space. I'm starting my day with something that is, now positive and starting to build momentum in the right direction. And even if I have to go back to bed, say 3 hours later, that's different than the room getting grosser, or, you know what I mean? Like being kind of out of control. And but I'm going to be honest with you too. It's a choice to listen to the show too.
Yeah.
Like that little choice is a choice because I don't always want to. Like, I'm like, oh, maybe I don't feel like listening to the show right now. Maybe I want to listen to something else or watch a movie or something. But making the choice to listen to the thing that I know is going to fill me up, that I know is going to be good for me and positive for me, that choice right there then leads to other choices. So it's like, what am I filling myself up with? Am I loving me? I gotta keep asking myself that question. Am I loving me to the highest degree right now?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting you say that, and thank you. But yeah, I mean, I've learned so much in just the last couple of days doing this show by myself. It's so hard, but also like so many lessons came from it, and we sort of talked about that a little bit yesterday through our text chain. But yeah, when I reached out on Friday, you're right, I was jazzed. Like, I was waiting for your answer, but I knew there was something off about it. So I was like, but I honestly couldn't hear it. So I was excited for your response. I was like, heck yeah, he's going to tell me how I can get better for tomorrow, and then you continued to do that. So you would give me a positive feedback. One of the days you gave me no feedback, and I was like, what the heck, man? I mean, I hate it when that happens. And that's not me. It is now, but it wasn't. Like, I talked about this on one of the shows. I used to be terrible at critique. I still struggle with it sometimes. But, like, in the last couple of days and, like, everything going on, I'm like, I'm like, please give me some freaking guidance over here. like just tell me where to get better. I'll do my best. And then hopefully it's better the next day. And that goes with classes, that goes with like communication, that goes with the show, like everything. And so it's really opened a lot up. And a lot of that is because of your teaching. So through all this, you know, it really has been a blessing for me to be able to do that.
Well, it's one of those things too. Your dad, I was talking to him last night through Brian on the phone, and he mentioned something about your show yesterday, and I was like, I know, right? And he was like, that was so good. Like, he couldn't get over how good it was and how proud he was of you. And I was like, I've been telling him this for the longest time, that going into those places of being honest, it makes you look strong. It makes you look powerful. Like, people, you don't realize it. You feel like, oh, me exposing me being honest about my own junk, like that's something that is going to make me look bad. And it's like, I can't stress it enough. It's the opposite of that, because everybody goes through what you're going through. Mm-hmm. We're all human beings. So we all feel it, you know? And so in our own way, everybody could relate to the words that you were saying, me included, even though I was the one giving you the advice. You were talking about me. I wasn't thinking of it that way yesterday. Yeah. I wasn't thinking of it as like, oh, look how good Matt is for giving Joey the advice. I was hearing you, and I was applying your life back to my life now and seeing, oh, dude, you know what? You need to you got to be doing this for yourself right now. Like, I was dealing with it personally, you know? Yeah. And that's what everybody does when they hear this kind of information and that type of honesty. Yeah, it was just raw. And I remember there'd be so many mornings when I look at you and I'd be like, hey, is it okay if we bring up, you know, like whatever was going on? Because I think it'd be an awesome topic to talk about. And immediately I would see something inside you like don't do that.
Fear. Yeah.
and so then I wouldn't, you know, but I was always bummed that we weren't able to go there in the past.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll spark notes this because but it does have to do with the topic, but our conversation from yesterday, you know, like I said, it was a blessing, and I'm thankful for it, because I don't know that I would have ever seen the other angle if I didn't have to do the show by myself. But that's what this show is built on, and I didn't realize that, because you were the one hosting it and like doing all the topics, and like you would just pass fun things off to Brian and I. And we had our funny segments about like me being single and him doing Shameless Plug, and we found ways to incorporate us, but I didn't understand that was the core at the center, because I wasn't able to hear it. But after doing the show, and I talked to you about this yesterday, I was like, there's nothing to talk about if you don't talk about your failures to motivate other people. There's nothing to talk about on the show. Like I was at a loss. So then those things came naturally. And now I realize, I think the struggle point for me was I wasn't the one that was able to bring my own stuff up on the show, because I didn't have to host. So then when you would bring it up, I would take that as like, oh, Matt just wants to talk about like my failures in front of everyone, you know. Oh, woe is me. And now I told you this yesterday, but I just realized how much of a gift that was, because you're giving me the opportunity to lift us up, and it lifts me up when you do that.
It's like an improv setup.
And I wasn't trying to bring it up so that I could talk about you. I was trying to bring it up so that you got to talk about you. Mm-hmm. So in other words, you're right. Like, I was trying to, every time that would come up, I'd be like, this is me trying to make you the star of today's show. Like, let me do that.
It's a setup. It's like a setup for improv, where you kind of like volleying it over to that person, trying to get it. And then I think most of us who improvise have felt this, and then they totally miss it, you know? Like, you're trying your very best to help. And I know I've been exactly in that same place as Joey, where we've had that moment, and it's like, nope, don't want to do it, you know? But I think Joey said something there that's really cool. I think sometimes it's really easy, and this is a little off topic, but to miss out and not understand. No, this goes right into love. And what somebody does for you.
Love's pretty much in everything, Brian, because like love is the center, you know?
It's true. Boom. He dropped it. But this idea of like, Joey said he couldn't understand it and get it until he sat in your chair, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's something to that idea of like really thinking about like, if we could start to, let's say I didn't actually have to sit in the chair and do the thing, but if I could find a way to try and see it from what it's like in that chair and understand it from that chair, then all of a sudden then I would have a different perspective on it, right? And he gained that perspective by getting to it, but there's a lot of times where you don't get to sit in that chair. Like things like that aren't just doesn't happen, right? And if there's a way that we can try and like see that and go, what is it like from that angle? Maybe even ask questions to that person, so that we can understand it better, and then understand the whys better from their point of view, from their chair. It's that walk a mile in someone else's shoes, right? And so I just think that's super cool the way he said that. Like once he sat in the chair and had to be behind the mic, like I felt that in the podcastathon. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm standing. This is a long time being behind this microphone. There was like a point where I was going for like an hour and just like talking, and I was like, it made me think about the show and just all that you do. And so yeah.
All right, and can I just? I'm gonna take a little shot at YouTube. Not a big one, just a tiny one, but like. We got to the watch hours point without the podcastathon watch hours, which is pretty cool because we got there pretty fast. But like, we were kind of banking on that. We were like, "Yeah, we're gonna get these watch hours," and then we watch every day for like a week, and we were like, "Well, I guess they might not go through." Like, oh well. And we made it. We made it, guys.
We made it.
We did. Yeah.
Yeah. So and you know what? That was a good point. Also, there, Bri, about sitting in my chair, right? And it's like, yeah. So you don't always get the opportunity to do that, maybe physically, but we can always do that mentally, all of us. And so my responsibility comes back the other way around, and I go, okay. And I think I tried to do this, but probably not well enough. But the question would be like, all right, so why is Joey hesitant? And I would ask the question, like, why are you hesitating? What's the why here? Let's try to get to the bottom of it, because I don't want to fight with you. I want to help you understand my point of view, and I want to understand your point of view. I want to get to the core of where your fear is at, so we can release that and move forward.
Yeah, you see, what had happened was I probably wouldn't have told you the truth, though. So that's
what happened.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I guess what, Joey. So truth is the circumference.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm just being
you can't
real.
Get to the love without getting through the truth first.
Like without the lesson, we've been through a lot in the last month since Brian's been gone, and that's just something like I've grown a ton through the lessons and the hard lessons I had to learn. With just the two of us, and yeah, I'm just being brutally honest. Like you could have asked that question, and I probably would have given you something like, I don't know, and then I would have tried to find an excuse that didn't make sense.
But the question is this now. So that's true, and thank you for your honesty. So now moving forward though, is this something that maybe you might try to implement moving forward? The idea of trying to put yourself in the other person's seat without having to do it physically. Can you get to truth, even like first off air and then on air, but actually stop for a second and go, okay, like, why am I really feeling this way? Let me try to get to my core, to my absolute center, and figure out what's the why here. And it could come back to whatever it is. I don't know. But in this particular case, like when we get all the way down to it, on my end, I would feel bad, actually, and not bad. Like I would feel almost hurt, because I'm like, wow, I feel like Joey doesn't trust me in this moment, because I'm running the show. If I tell him like, hey, we're gonna play, we're gonna banter back and forth about an issue or whatever, does he not trust me that I would never make him look bad, like ever? Like why would I? There's no incentive for me to do that. for you to look bad, it doesn't help me at all. So like, what does he think that I'm like writing down notes of like, oh, here's a way to make Joey look bad.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, let's be honest, that's kind of impossible. I mean, look at this kid. By the way, did you say you're still single?
The segment is back.
Still is single.
Hey.
That is mind blowing to me. I can't believe that. Can we just get a close up on you, Joey? Because I am just thinking to myself, wow.
I'm blown away by it. I mean,
right?
The guy, he takes care of his brother while he's sick. Like, he helps people. I mean, unbelievable.
Well, and let's go to people then. Okay, and let's go back to what does this mean? Love is the center. Okay, love is the center. It means you start from there. I got a missed call from our pastor, and he called Pastor Rick Holman. He's a pretty good dude. A little inappropriate sometimes, but a pretty good dude. And he called and you know why he was calling? He was calling because he was trying to figure out how he could serve Brian, how he could reach Brian, talk to Brian. And it took me a couple of days to get back to him. I finally did. And he's like, oh, okay, great. And then he reaches out again. And I didn't answer. I couldn't at the moment. I was teaching or something. And then he text messages and he's like, hey, I just want to make sure you guys got the donation. I donated to your nonprofit. I'm like, who is this guy? He's like a saint. And so then, and I forgot to text him back. So the next day he calls. And he's like, hey, Matt, it's me, Rick Coleman here. I just want you to know I donated to Lighthouse Theater, and I wanted to make sure you guys got it. And and leaves this funny message, and I call him back. And I think he did donate to the wrong nonprofit, but you know, his heart was in the right place. But you know what he says is he was worried. He's like, so how are you guys doing? You know? And I told him, was like, well, I got the Rona and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, so Joey's back there as like the last of the Mohicans back at the studio. and so, and that means like Joey's like the last man standing, right? And he's laughing. And I was like, yeah. And he said something about Joey burning out. And I'm like, yeah, I definitely don't want that either. And I just described Joey's day on Monday. how he drove you to like 75 appointments and then dropped off things at my house 3 or 4 times to help me set up an at-home studio, and how he was still like checking the phones. He did the show by himself, like all the stuff. And the first thing Rick says, I get done talking, the very first thing he says is he's like, well, I can help drive Brian. He's like, I got me. And he starts naming off a bunch of people. And he's like, so you guys just let me know, man. I'm there for you. Like the very first thing was like, how can I serve? How can I give? How can I serve? How can I give? And I think that's like love, right? That's what love is the center is all about, is you listen to something and you're like, okay, how can I make an impact? How can I help in some way?
Yeah. And I think Rick's great at that too. And on top of that, I mean, we discussed this on the podcast, but he's Brian, older Brian. So I mean, he probably has a connection there where he's like, oh man, I gotta take my younger self to help him out take him through a spiritual journey as the pastoral.
The truth is, he just wants to hang out with himself.
Yeah, really.
That's what it's really all about. 100%. Yeah. We want to just joke and pull up different. What was the game we played where like we both had to put up the same thing that we were thinking or something?
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was fun. Oh yeah, the game was is Brian really Rick Holman, and is Rick Holman really Brian?
Oh yeah.
It turns out you are.
We are same. Yeah, 100%.
So okay, so I think this would be a good way to wrap it up, and it doesn't mean that this is going to end super quick. It might, but maybe we'll end here, reminding everybody that what is love?
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No more.
I thought it was the same thing.
Yeah, we both just went in on it. This is a musical show this morning. We're bringing up music without getting copyrighted.
You gotta do the head thing.
Yeah,
too.
You gotta do the head thing so that we break the glass.
Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
No more.
Matt, hit your point.
God is love.
Ooh, facts.
And so the question is, does God give us tough love sometimes? Of course. Does God give us like romantic love? Of course. Like God, but God is love. And so if you're not focused on God, you're not actually in that loving place. And for those who haven't found God yet, man, I cannot wait till you do get in this place where you allow God to do what he's going to do in your life. But I was looking at this one other quote here that I think is really cool. It says, God has heard your prayers. Now trust his timing. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. So like if you look at my, it's funny, my greatest fear about the coronavirus, about not getting it, was because I didn't want to lose out on this gig that I had just landed. Well, I ended up losing the gig. So it's funny, like I took a coronavirus test and it cost $6,000. That's what I was going to get. That was the payday that I was going to get. And then I didn't get that payday. Right. And I had to go, let that go. You trust God. God's got a plan. God's got a reason. There's, God's got you. What's 6,000? Like, what is it? Like, what is that really? Yeah, you thought it was going to help with the business and the end of the year. And God's got you, bro. Like, God's got you. You're cool. Like, you're fine. You just got to give it over to him completely and understand that he's got something bigger and better waiting for you. There's a reason for that. And to give over to that, to give over to his timing and just be completely trusting is a hard thing. But when you go into love, you go into God, it's like you feel safe, you feel love, you feel cared for, like a baby in their mother's arms, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's I get asked all the time about the hospital because I've had to do it so many times and like getting through, and that's the answer for me when it comes to getting through is the God factor, is just trusting that there's something that's going to come of this, or it'll get used somehow for a sermon or whatever. And Carol Archer, who's like super close with us and has always been there for the studio, her big thing was exactly that. It was like, God's already got this, like it's already taken care of. And actually hers, and we talk about gratitude a lot, was just thank him already, because he's already got you. Like, the kidney's already taken care of. Just thank him already for it. It's just like, you don't know when the timing is, like, not in your timing, but it's already done. It's like God's already done it. Like, it's taken care of. Like, don't worry, Yeah. And it was just super encouraging hearing that from her, and inspiring, and just reminded me kind of that's in those moments where it gets really tough. Like, and I love what you said, Matt, about like those who don't know God, when they get to, it's so exciting. It's so exciting. And I'm so excited for all those who get to find him, because I don't know how people do it without, honestly. Like, there's no way. I don't know how I would go through the hospital without having that, without knowing that there's this force that's guiding me and using these situations for the betterment of myself and the people around me,
Well, I can tell you, it's you know what it is, Brian? I feel like it's that feeling I just talked about this morning when I was like, I forgot how good it feels to feel better. Like, yeah. I forgot what it felt like to not be achy, and I'm like, oh, I guess I really was sick. Like, wow, I feel better. I feel like it's like that. Like, when you allow God back into your life and you allow him to be the center and the thing that is true, it's like you have this wake up call, and you're like, oh yeah, this is what life's all about. Like, crazy. Because I was feeling so unfulfilled, but I didn't know why. And I kept chasing all these other things thinking it was going to make me feel better, and it didn't. And I can tell you, like, that would be one of the main things I can say about this world right now that we're living in, especially in the US, but really around the world, is this movement to try to take God out of our lives and out of our country is a massive mistake. But if people have to keep pushing to the point where they're going to hit rock bottom in order to find God, then that's what's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you right now, you keep pushing God out of this world, you try to push God out of our lives and out of our country, it doesn't end well, because God, love, is the center, and you cannot deny the importance of that. And one of the reasons why this is one of the greatest nations in the world is from that base beginning, because no one ever said America's perfect. Matter of fact, that what makes America perfect is the imperfection, the admission of imperfection, and the willingness to change. Like that's our core founding in America, is the idea of, hey, we know we don't got it right. We know we don't know. That's what America says. And so that's why it's been built so perfectly, where you can amend the Constitution and you can amend the ideas that we've always believed in, for like things have changed. Our thought processes have changed. We now understand there's a better way. Now let's adapt into that thing. But if you don't have God as your center, then you're going to try to adapt it and change it in ways that are not actually in your own best interest long term.
Yeah.
You might think it is, because it's like a selfish, like, upfront moment, but long term, if you don't have God, you don't have. It's going to be a dangerous place.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more.
100p. All right.
100p.
Before we wrap this show, I'm in front of Brian. Cool. Before we wrap this show, let's go ahead and for old time's sake, it's been a long time.
It's time now for Brian
Oh,
Sweeney's
man.
Shameless Plugs.
Shameless plug.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're sick at home, reading is definitely a recommendation. Acting is my day job. 7 Strategies to Market and Make Money as an Actor is a great read. Just would take up a couple hours of your day, really. Instead of having to watch Netflix or Hulu and get sucked into that TV, you can get sucked into a great book. A really great book.
I love that he pulled from himself for this shameless plug.
I did.
And so let me just go ahead and go out here. How many times have you read that book since you've been sick at home?
Not at all. I'll read it today when I get home. Yeah. Full disclosure.
I was expecting you to go improv and be like, I've read it front to back to front, side to side.
I'd be lying, and
Yeah,
we
that's
already
fair.
discussed that that's not a good thing.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, technically, Jean-Claude Van Sweeney is a lie too, though.
I mean, that's a character.
bit.
It's a
Yeah.
character.
That's the character.
So-
No, so actually what's funny is I noticed that Brian was really quiet when I was talking about that I watch the show every morning.
Oh yeah, I didn't do that. Yeah. I did not do that either. And I wish I had. Honestly, I wish I had.
Well, you look back on it and you're like, you know what? Why didn't I? Those were all choices. And it was like, probably because you were wallowing,
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like, that's all right. As long as you admit it and you like walk into it, like totally no big deal. Hey, shameless plug too. If I could myself, I want to give a little shout out there to Vicky Sweeney, your mom. She's on there. She says we're looking good. Thank you, Vicky. It's great to see you up on the morning show. I know you're a huge fan and always tuning in, so we love you so much. Thank you very much for the comment.
Same with Nick. Nick is back. Nick hasn't been here for a couple of days. He's been the same as you guys, just a little bit of recovery. So he's back today.
Nick is back in town.
Astrid's back, of course, and my dad too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
got a whole fan section in there.
we do.
Yes, we do.
We got a support system.
Nick says LMAO. So
Yeah.
I'll let you guys figure out what that means.
Laugh my. Okay.
Brian almost said it.
Almost.
Ice Finger says what?
Not gonna say that.
Wait, what?
Hey, you said it to yourself.
Oh, God, himself.
I love that he did the 2 copyrights. That was funny. That gave me a good laugh.
My dad,
All right.
my dad had the comment of the day, in my opinion, though, and that was, You think you could go pro and you can't do 10 push-ups? Question mark.
Yeah.
I love when he disses Joey. Oh
It's
my
so
gosh,
funny.
it's so great.
Yesterday I said it was Wednesday and then I had to correct myself and say it was Tuesday, and he posted a picture of me on a camel and said, "Can everybody remind Joey it's not hump day?"
And then
so
he
I
called
got-
and said Happy Hump Day. Like, it was very funny.
Yeah.
Brian, you look good, dude.
Thank you. Honestly, and I know we're rapping, but honestly, I don't feel awesome. But it's a fight. Like this morning, I chose that over it because the nausea was kind of getting at me. I told Joey before the show even started, but like it came back to what we said, and I didn't get to talk about it, but earlier, like it came back into last night, bro. Like I had made the decision last night that this was happening. This was like, so whatever that ended up looking like, even if it was me coming in and I sat on the beanbag and watched Joey do his thing, like it was gonna happen. I was getting up and I was coming. So thank you. I really appreciate that, because that's probably the thing that you're seeing above all else is the fight, is that and you know.
Okay, but
Belichick.
let's do this. Okay, let's do this really quick. All right. You're discrediting a little bit. You have been transformed throughout the 40 minutes we've been on this show. This is you at the beginning.
Whoa.
This is you now. Like
I didn't
eyes
see it.
less baggy, your skin's more colorful.
Yeah.
Wherever
you
you're
like
showing,
woke up.
I didn't see it. So
It's what's on the screen right there, the YouTube, right? That's
Uh-huh.
you in the beginning.
I see.
And then this is you now. You can't see it, but everybody else can. Like, it's crazy.
Oh,
You'll
that's
be
what
able
I
to
meant.
see
I was like, I
after.
don't see it.
Oh, that's funny.
He's like showing me before and after, but I don't see an after.
Yeah. I mean, you could just trust me on this one.
I
but,
trust you.
But yeah, it's crazy. You've totally, like, transformed throughout the 40 minutes we've been here.
Thanks.
crazy.
Thank you. This was
Yeah.
a mental push-up.
Heck yeah. Giant mental push-ups.
Like it.
All right, Matt, you wanna do the honors?
Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. This has been the Mornings with Matt show, the Deering Acting Studio podcast. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, share, comment. Help us to spread this light-driven content to the planet. Thank you, and God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com. Have a Deering day, everyone.